I've scaled more than a dozen businesses past $100,000 per month, and there's one thing that everybody consistently gets wrong. And that's they feel like it's 10 times harder to get to $100,000 per month than where they're at right now. When in reality, it's actually easier to scale to $100,000 per month than it is to hit your very first $10,000 per month. And I'm gonna prove it to you in this video. I'm gonna break down exactly why it's easier, exactly how you can do it for yourself, and then I'm gonna reveal my playbook for scaling businesses past $100,000 per month with 100% confidence. This is just the first of a 6-part mini-series called How to Scale a Solo Expert Business, where I'm gonna be breaking down and revealing every tactic that you need to actually scale your business based on real-world results and experience. Full disclosure, there's nobody talking about this, either because they don't know or because they don't want you to know. But I've seen firsthand that the damage that this can cause with you not knowing what I'm about to share with you, so I feel like it's my duty to inform you. Jumping straight into lesson number 1, why $100,000 per month is actually easier than 10K per month. I had this belief first shattered back in 2020 when a business mentor of mine brought a speech of his to a close with this: 100K per month is literally just 10 clients. And that's just 2 clients per week. Now let's break down what that actually looks like. If you have a 20% close rate on your sales calls, that means you need 10 sales calls per week. If 70% of those calls actually show, then that means you need 14 calls booked for the week. That's literally just 2 calls per day. Now, if you're running a VSL or a different kind of acquisition funnel that requires some form of content or video sales letter type device, if 10% of your VSL views book with you, you need 140 views a week. So that means your goal for the week is to do whatever you can to drive 140 views to your VSL, which again is just 20 views per day. Now these are just benchmark views to target. Lots of people are gonna do better than this. You'll likely do worse if you don't have any experience or without professional training. Now I know there's gonna be some keyboard warriors in the comments saying, actually 10K a month is just 1 client a month, Wes. That's not easier. Well, the thing is, if you're not at 10K a month yet, it's because you're missing product market fit, market message match, and you're not clear what you sell and how you sell it. That's known as going 0 to 1. It's a very difficult thing to do. In fact, Peter Thiel, the co-founder of PayPal, wrote an entire book about it called 0 to 1. It's not an easy task. The difference between going from 10K to 100K per month is 100K per month is just more of what got you to 10K. But most people screw it up by doing multiple different things. Now, lesson number 3 is the 3 ingredients that you need in order to scale your business. Now, after having done this for more than 15 years, I've had the opportunity to see behind the scenes of what actually happens to your business when you scale. I've seen loads of people succeed, and I've seen loads of people fail. It had nothing to do with their offer, their funnel, or their ad strategy. The people who succeeded all had these 3 traits, and those who failed lacked them every single time. Ingredient number 1 is focus. Steve Jobs has a famous quote about this saying, people think focus means saying yes to the thing that you've got to focus on. But that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to the 100 other good ideas that are there. I'm as proud of what we don't do as what we do. Now, this is a company who has every resource in the world to focus on dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of different things. And they still focus on only the core elements, saying no to all the good and mediocre ideas and only focus on what actually drives the needle for their company. Because the truth is, most experts get easily distracted by what's known as shiny object syndrome. So when things get even just a little bit difficult with what they're currently doing, they see somebody else winning, doing something else, some different kind of funnel, some different kind of advertising strategy. They jump ship and they bail, repeating their journey back from 0 over and over and over again, going through something called the emotional cycle of change. Now, when you start out, you typically experience uninformed optimism. This other thing sounds great, I see somebody else winning, I feel like I could do that too. But then after you get started, they very quickly get hit with informed pessimism. Wow, this wasn't as easy as I thought. This is a lot harder. I'm not sure if I can make this work. And then shortly after, they land themselves into the valley of despair, which is where most people bail out and then start the journey back at square one all over again. Now, the valley of despair is where nothing seems like it's working. It couldn't possibly get any worse. And it just seems like you made a very, very bad decision. However, if you push through, you're going to learn how to make the thing actually work. You're going to learn the things that were omitted by the others who were trying to sell you on how easy the thing was. And then you're going to experience informed optimism, where you understand what's actually required to make this thing work. Most people never get past stage number 3, where you need to pass through in order to get to stage 5, which is achievement of your goal, which is now that you actually know what's required to take the steps needed in order to get success, you stick with it for a long enough period of time that you actually attain the result that you were looking for in the first place. But if you keep bailing out like everybody else in stage 3 in the valley of despair, you're going to keep repeating this cycle over and over and over and over again. And unfortunately, that's what most experts do. And it ultimately leads to nowhere, and why they get stuck at 10K per month. So ingredient number 2 is risk tolerance. Having worked with well over 100 experts from various backgrounds, industries, and financial capabilities, from students to family offices and even Silicon Valley tech investors, I can tell you that risk tolerance is one of the most important aspects for your business. In fact, the very definition of an entrepreneur is one who takes on greater than normal financial risks in order to organize and operate a business. The thing you need to realize is that when you're in business, 9 out of 10 tests that you do will fail in almost everything you do. But that one win, if you double down on it properly, will pay more than 10x what those tests cost you to perform. The people that I've seen who lost the game, it's not because they weren't willing to play. They lost because they weren't willing to lose in order to learn. They were looking for a guaranteed safety net and jumped when the waters got a little bit bumpy in order to cut their losses. Ingredient number 3 is time, which is staying in the game long enough for your results to actually compound. I had one client who used to make snap decisions every 30 days. All the campaigns would get stopped, while virtually all of the sales would linger between 60 and 90 days. Ultimately, these campaigns, we averaged around a 12-to-1 final ROI. And while we would stop and restart every single time, had we stayed the course, we would have had a very profitable business on our hands. Because when we stopped the campaign, we would let it go for another 30 days afterwards, and the same thing would keep repeating the cycle because the client was unsure that things weren't actually working. However, in retrospect, if we had not stopped and started those campaigns the way that we did, we would have had a pretty profitable business on our hands. Because this is what most people do. They ditch the campaign as soon as it doesn't show any kind of ROI in the first 14 to 30 days, without any regard to who's coming in, why they're coming in, and that they will inevitably convert later as long as you have the systems in order to do so. Which brings me to lesson number 3, customer swim lanes. Now, the next piece you need to understand is if you want your business to grow and not collapse over time, there's something that I call swim lane theory. And this is something that I taught early on to my clients in a program called Selling High Ticket in around 2020. Now, this has nothing to do with going to the pool, but if you've ever been to the pool, you'll know that there are 3 types of swimming and lap lanes. There are slow, medium, and fast. Now, your fast lane is roughly 3% of your customer base. This is where most people focus almost all of their marketing efforts because they want that conversion to happen within the first 30 days. And so your fast lane is anything that happens within 30 days. Your medium lane makes up about 33% of your total market. And these are your buyers who are looking to make a decision between 30 and 90 days. And then you have your slow lane, which makes up about 20% of your market, which is anywhere between 90 days and 2 years. Now, you probably, if you're astute with math, you're thinking that doesn't add up to 100%. And that's because most people in the market will never buy anything. And so it doesn't need to add up to 100% because roughly over 50% will ever actually purchase something in order to solve their problem. If you focus on fast lane only customers, you can get a decent amount of money. If you really have your ad spend dialed in, you really have your customer growth engine dialed in, you can look to maybe a 2-to-1 cash collected. That's your KPI, that's your target on a front end campaign like that. Now your medium lane, if you can focus on converting clients between 30 and 90 days, and you can actually put up that cash expenditure for a little while longer, you're going to experience much larger wins, which look like more like 10-to-1 or 5-to-1 in some industries. Now, your slow lane, we can market to them in the same way that we market to the medium lane. It's just going to take them a little bit longer. So we don't optimize for the slow lane. We want to optimize for the medium lane. Now, while we don't necessarily want to optimize for the fast lane, we do want to make sure that we leave the fast lane open for the right prospects who can speedily come through our process, because 3% of people still will. Now, when I was a marketing executive for various multiple 8-figure corporate businesses, our average time to close wasn't 7 days like everyone expects in the online education space. Our average time to close from lead to client was 60 days. That means it took, on average, 2 full months to go from first contact to paid client. There were lots of people that took a lot longer than that, and there were some people that ascended much quicker than that, but on average, 2 months. Now, if we had focused all of our effort and attention to only fast lane leads, like most people do in the online education space, we would have stayed a 6-figure business instead of building a multiple 8-figure one. Now, I've used this simple tweak for more than 10 years in my online marketing journey, and it's how I'm routinely able to get 10-to-1 ROAS on my ad spend, even hitting as high as 51-to-1 over long periods of time. I'm not talking about like a simple, this ran for a week, we got really good results. I'm talking about millions and millions of dollars of revenue over long periods of time. That specific campaign was 18 months to be exact. Now I want to break down my exact playbook to scale your business so fast that it actually feels like cheating. The first thing that you need to have is attention. And there are a lot of different ways to get attention. What we do is we run ads to get new people daily into our ecosystem. For us, we run simple DM-based ads that collect email and ask qualifying questions. This allows us to take these conversations and put them into the fast lane or medium lane, depending on the type of customer and depending on how quickly they look like they're going to move through the process. Now, once we've identified which stage of the process that they're in, they're going to end up into our scalable content ecosystem, which, if you are going to produce content, the number one skill that you need to have is not going viral. It's being able to be consistent over long periods of time. And if you are trying to grow and scale a business to 100K plus per month, you need a system for taking long form content and turning it into emails, reels, lead magnets, call to actions, and things like that, so that you can magnify your time. The problem that I see with most creators is that they are trying to go out and post a new reel every single day, or they're batching content maybe once or twice a week, but they don't have a repeatable system to bring in the right person at the right time for the right reason. The thing that you need to make sure that you're establishing with your scalable content ecosystem is long-term authority and connection with your audience. And that can only be done with face-to-face video or long-form type content, written type video, reels, and taking the next step. Now, another cheat code to growing your business really, really quickly is we don't really drive our CTAs in our organic content. We use what's called retargeting ads with a very small budget, typically $1 a day, to shift their beliefs, remind them to take action on whatever the next step is, and show them proof that we can do what we say we're going to do. There's a whole whack of different ways that we can do this, which I will be breaking down for you in future videos of this mini series. Once you have this attention ecosystem set up, you've got new people coming in daily. You've got a place for them to go, an ecosystem that when they see you, they look you up and go, I don't know who this person is. I need to check them out, make sure that they're legit, make sure they actually know what they're talking about. So now once you have this content ecosystem set up, you need a way to convert them into actual paying clients. And so this is where revenue comes in. You're gonna need what I call a 24/7 automated enrollment engine. Now this is a video that's going to do your selling for you. This is also known as a video sales letter or potentially a webinar, depending on the complexity and length of it. But what this is gonna do is it's gonna sell your prospects on who you are, how you help, and proof that you can do it, along with various other things. You wanna think of them as your automated salesperson that goes out and sells for you, whether you're on vacation, whether you're meeting with clients, or you're spending time doing other hobbies or sleeping in bed. Your 24/7 enrollment engine needs to point to something that can actually convert, because the enrollment engine is more of an indoctrination piece. The Hell Yeah offer doc is something that I give to my clients that outlines exactly how you're going to take new clients and gives them your full value proposition, including how you help, what's going to happen over the next 30, 60, 90 days, upwards of 12 months. But even just pairing these two pieces right here, you're going to have 90% of the enrollment that you need almost completely automated. Now, not everybody will trust you enough, even after a video, content, reminders, and a doc, in order to pay you a high ticket price point. So there's one more thing that we need to add into this process to do this at scale. That's why having a cash infusion workshop is so critical, because this too offers extreme scalable conversions. All of the biggest experts in the world convert their offers with a warm cash infusion based workshop. Seriously, find one that doesn't. The reason that they do that is because their time is extremely valuable. Each one of those workshops is going to net them 100K plus every single time that they host it. I don't care who you are, that's pretty good time for your money. Now, it's because they're scalable and leverageable. There's one more lever that you need to unlock before you can actually scale to sustainable 100K plus per month. And that's having a scalable result system. If you had to onboard 20 new clients today, how would you feel about actually doing that? I bet you at first you'd be super excited that you signed 20 new clients. But the problem is that most people don't have a system, let alone an automated system, for taking a new client from paid, contract signed, into the program, into their first handful of steps in order for them to get a quick win within first 7 days. Now, this is a process that I walk all of my clients through when they join the Scalable Creator Program. It's called effortless onboarding. And this is taking your client from starting out to their first win, to their next stage within 30 to 60, 90 days, depending on what that looks like. And then where do they get to after that 90-day period, where we're guiding them through a full journey from the moment they pay to the moment that they either ascend or leave the program. That is only possible with something that I call gamified delivery. Most coaches have what's called a pillar-based delivery system. For example, if I was to teach this, you would have attention, revenue, and results. So I could teach you how to run ads, how to do content, how to do retargeting. I could teach you how to do an enrollment engine, how to set up a doc, and how to do workshops. But the problem is that if I just fire hosed all of that information at you, you wouldn't know how to go through and implement and what order to implement things in. So when we do a gamified delivery system, we actually have specific set of instructions at each month of what you need to be focused on in a specific order. Now, once you have gamified delivery, your clients will know exactly what's expected of them at every stage in order to get the results. And better results for your clients, better results for you, better word of mouth, more ascensions, more referrals, more continuations, more money. It's simply business. More people need to focus on delivery more so than just marketing. Now, there's one last stage to the results section, and that's something that I call automated speed boosters. The way that you do these is at any stage during the gamified delivery, your clients are going to run into roadblocks. They're going to have problems. They're not going to know how to set up an ad. They're not going to know what to say in their ad. Or if you're a fitness coach, they don't know what has to go into their meal plan. They don't know what exercises to do. They don't know what exercises to do when they plateau to the next stage and they no longer are gaining any muscle. So what do? Well, we're going to have things that demolish the roadblocks for them. These can be templates, or my personal favorite, AI GPTs, where you are taking your knowledge, your information, your expertise, and custom training GPT bots so that they can just go out and handle this problem for your clients as much as possible. And this is how you are actually able to remove yourself from a lot of the client delivery and answering the same questions over and over and over and over and over again. And your clients love it because they don't have to wait for you to get back to them. They can simply just go get the result, which is why they're in the program in the first place. So now that I've shown you the model and what's actually required to win and the tactics required to do so, there are a whole handful of systems that will make this process so much easier for you. Rather than spend a decade trying to figure this out for yourself and learning from all the mistakes that happen along the way, you could learn from somebody who's already done it multiple times in multiple different industries. If you're interested in that, head on over to Instagram at Wes Briggs Official, DM me 777 and I'll shoot you over a short doc explaining how the whole thing works. There's no email opt-in, it's just a super short read and you can decide whether or not it's a fit for you. That's all I have for you today. Make sure to come back and check in on day 2 where we're going to be talking about how you can build your very own hell yeah offer so that you can scale it to $100,000 per month. I'll see you there.